Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to install the replacement follower and string into your First Strike T15 V2 mags. Now quickly, what are you going to need tooling wise? You're going to need a pair of needle nose pliers. I'm using a pair with a bend in them with the hopes to make things a little bit more visible for you to see while I'm trying to do it. I'm pretty sure a straight pair of needle nose will work just as fine. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver, and you are going to need a spring-loaded clamp. You'll see why in a little bit. Okay, just as a little footnote, this mag is not broken, the string is fine. My intention was to basically disassemble and reassemble everything inside to give you the general idea of what's involved with doing the replacement. It's basically the same thing. Now, as a second little footnote, I will have to say, instead of fabricating your own string right off the bat, I really do suggest you pick up a couple kits from First Strike. Not only do they come pre-cut to length, the string actually has nubs on either end in there too. They do serve a purpose. It's a lot easier, especially if you're at the field and you want to fix your mag at the field in between rounds. It's just way easier to have a couple of these guys handy and just do a quick swap at the field. I mean, I'm all for redoing or making your own later on at home. You can use the bits that you take out from the mag and then make your next replacement string at home when you get the chance. But I mean, just for ease and to know exactly how much string you need and whatnot and how to make it and how to fabricate it, buy yourself a couple just to have in your kit and on hand and ready for you. All right. All right. So we're going to start by disassembling the mag. So what we're going to do first is remove this bottom plate, set that guy aside. Next, you're going to grab your flathead screwdriver. You're going to insert behind these two tabs. So insert, twist, and lift. Hold that one side with your thumb. Insert, twist, and lift. That'll unlock the cap for the mag. You can set that guy aside. And now we're ready to separate the two halves of the mag. Now, if your mag is broken, you are going to want to make sure that you don't lose your follower or the spring especially, because you're going to need that to put it back together, obviously. All right. Put the mag halves aside. Somehow. All right. How about there? All right. Okay, now we are going to disassemble. This is the actual winding mechanism for the mag. The gear's in there, and there's your little follower pawl that releases it and lets it spring forward and whatnot. You're going to need your flathead screwdriver, and there are 3 tabs. One there, and one there. You're going to want to insert your screwdriver, twist, and try to force the 2 halves of the casing apart. Now, this is where that spring-loaded clamp comes in handy, just to make your life a little bit easier and to give yourself a little bit of a length of string to work with and not have to worry about the spring necessarily getting in the way. Use the clamp, pull back the spring, give yourself a little bit of just length of string so that it's easier to work with. Okay. Now, we're going to take the screwdriver and we're going to place it into the first tab. Now, one thing I've learned is if you put your thumb into the spring hole itself, you can push your thumb in as you're twisting the tab to help separate the 2 halves. So there's 1, there's 2. You can hear this side already popped. Now be careful because the insides of this are really spring loaded. I'm just going to show you for demonstration purposes that you can see that side's already split open. Okay. Now, keep in mind, everything inside is spring loaded. You don't want to lose bits, especially if you're at the field. You're going to take your screwdriver and put it to the other side here where the tab is, twist, put your thumb back in to separate, and that's it. You can hear that third little click. I'm going to try to remove this really carefully so springs don't go flying. Oh, there goes one. We'll set this one aside. All right. So this is your follower pawl, the follower pawl spring. And on this side, I'm going to call this the ball detent. This is basically what keeps your rounds in the mag from popping out. Set that guy aside as well. We're going to want to pop out that little spring. Oh, there it goes. Put that guy aside as well. Okay, next up, you're going to grab your needle nose pliers, and you are going to put them on these 2 little tabs in the center part of the gear wheel. You're going to squeeze the needle nose together and push down to unlock the center stem of the wheel. All right, what that'll do is unlock one side of the wheel. We can set that aside, and it allows you to push out the other side. Don't worry about the center gear. You can just leave that on the string and let it roll down. Okay, now here's the other end of the string, and here's that little nub that I was telling you about before in the replacement ones, they actually do serve a purpose because they will sit in the middle of the actual winder. Okay, so through the magic of camera editing that I have next to no skill with, we're going to remove the string and pretend I just put in the new piece of string and fed it through the spring and put the clamp back on in literally a matter of seconds. Yeah. All right, so next step, we're going to basically do the exact opposite of what we did. And trust me, it gets a little bit harder. All right, so we're going to grab that little nub. We're going to put it in the center part of that wheel, winding wheel. There we go. Okay, feed that back through the hole of the casing. Next, you're going to grab your center gear wheel, and you are going to, because it will only fit one way, because that center wheel has basically a slot in it that will line up with the tongs or the teeth of the center shaft. Okay. Now, next step, in the center or on either side of that center wheel is a little groove. And on this outside casing or outside part of the wheel, gear wheel, is another groove. Those grooves are meant to go around the string like that, right? So again, you can only insert it one way. Just make sure that your string is, if you can see that, there you go, that would be better. You can see that groove and you can see the string in the center of it. Squeeze it together until you hear it click. Okay, now that you're ready to do the rest of the reassembly, there is a little notch where the string is supposed to sit, okay? Make sure that your string is sitting there because you do not want it to wander off because you'll have to take it apart and redo it again because your string won't be able to move. Okay, next, we're gonna grab the bigger string and hopefully this will work out for me. I know it's a little tricky and this part is a real pain, trust me. All right, on your ball detent for your mag, there is a slot on the bottom that is meant to actually sort of slide into or on top of that larger spring to help keep it in place. It can be tricky to insert. I've found that holding the bottom part of the string, putting that little cup or support cut into the detent helps. Push down ever so slightly, and there's a cross pin in that detent, like the ball detent. There's a hole on the other side. Just put that cross pin into the hole and don't let go because it is spring loaded. It will pop up if you do let go. Okay, I'm gonna put this on this side just so it's easier. Now you're gonna want to hold everything with one hand, and here comes the more fun part. It's putting together the other side. So there's a spring for the follower pawl. On the bottom of the pawl, there is a little nub where my thumb is. That little nub is supposed to sit in the center part of the spring. And again, you have the cross pin here that will slip into or go into a hole just beside the spring, okay? So nub in first, put the cross pin into the hole. Now this center part, actually I'll take this out just to show you. This part is supposed to sit under the detent flap, if you want to call it that. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky and you can get easily frustrated, as I've learned in the last little while. Nub in, cross pin in the hole. Sorry if you can't see it, I'm trying my best. Okay, and the flap is underneath. One little trick is, I've also found that helps out a lot, is if you push down the center part of the ball detent, it will help keep things together, hopefully long enough for you to grab the other side of the casing. There is a hole for the other part of the cross pin. Try to get the cross pin of the detent into that hole on the casing. I hope this works. Push down until you hear everything click into place. I think I got it. Sweet, I got it. All right, there you go. Just make sure that you push down on either side. See, that one wasn't locked in. To make sure that they're all locked in, because the last thing you want is for this thing to fall apart. Okay, next, we are going to release and get rid of that spring-loaded clamp. Let our spring go back in. And it's basically time to reassemble your winding gear back into your mag. All right, so slip that guy back in, put in our string and our spring, grab the other half. Okay, you're probably gonna have to push down the ball detent holder thingy on top just to get everything to click in properly. Like that. Push in your follower, grab your top cap, put it in and down, slide in your base, and you're done. This is not an easy swap. I do have to say it is a can be a really frustrating one, especially if your springs wind up shooting all over the place, or something slips out just as you're ready to put in that second half of the winding case. But hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what's involved. If you have any problems, as always, guys, shoot me a PM, post a comment. I'll do my best to give you a hand. And yeah, I guess that's about it, man. Cheers.